Okie dokie then, let's just dive right on in. What's poppin', everybody? Hello and welcome to Popcorn Culture. My name is Ben Carlin and I am your host. Here with me today is my brother Jay, who will be in every episode.
I'm here. I'm still not the host, I guess. For now.
For now.
Time will tell.
It feels
we're only 110 episodes in.
I feel like this year is the year. Prediction alert. You become the host this year.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
I know. What I'm also trying to do is lay groundwork for proper humility. You know, as
right. Like now, if it happens, you're like, I called it, so it's still a win for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, but not as big as a win as it'll be for me.
It will be a very big win. It will be a very big win. I'll just be happy for you.
Oh,
I'll
thanks.
be happy for you, man.
Look at you. That's the secret sauce right there. Like, can you find it in your heart to truly be happy for other people's successes?
I feel like this is like a very, very, very good way to determine whether or not you have negative feelings towards someone you know.
It is a weird thing because there are times, where I will have people in my life and good things will happen for them, and I will just be like, "That's amazing! I'm so happy! Like, oh, great job!"
Yes.
And other times, other people, like, imagine that was a promotion someone got.
Right.
Just friend has a job, got a promotion. So proud of them. Other friend, different person I know, gets a promotion. I'm just like, oh, man, now I feel like I got to do better. I got to get on this person's level. This person's getting ahead of me. I can't have this. Great job, dude. Oh, so.
I'm saying the words out loud, but it's not what I'm thinking inside
like
of my head.
I'm making me feel really insecure about myself. Your success makes me value myself less.
Ooh, yeah, it's a dangerous area to step inside of. So you do have to be very, very cautious of that. But I think it's an interesting thing to analyze when you look at the people in your life and you determine, like, as good things happen to that person, what is your reaction? Like, are you attempting to understand how something good came to pass for this person, or are you just elated for them? Like, yes,
yeah,
this is the best news I've ever heard.
This is one of these things where it's like, I think I've talked about this a little bit in the past, where like, if I do have that sort of like more negative, more sort of like comparison or like jealous sort of internal reaction, sometimes I will try and reflect upon that later and literally just ask myself, like, what would it feel like if I was just happy about it? Like, let me just like, and I'll like try and like just, let me try acting feeling that way.
Oh, interesting.
And like literally like practice, like, what, like, just you don't have to abandon the way you actually felt, your gut react. Don't worry about it. We're just gonna try. We're just gonna see how it would feel if you were just genuinely elated. It's like, and see, you feel like my brain's like, okay, I don't know if I like this in negotiation, but we'll give it a shot, I guess.
I'll dip my toe
in the water. And then I feel like if I do that enough, like, I feel like it has been somewhat effective, where like over time, I've just it has like helped me become like more like happy for people than insecure about myself.
Yes, more happier for people.
Yes, that's the correct phrasing, and you all heard what I meant. I'm sure of it.
I don't even know if I don't think I got it right. I think that's cool. I mean, it's like it's interesting because we say it a lot, like that comparison is the thief of happiness. But it's interesting to think about being happy for someone else being a skill that you can actually like develop,
right,
and like sharpen, and almost get to the point where it's like I am going to choose to be happy for people, and then every time something good happens, it's like I'm going to be happy for them, and I'm going to be happy for them, and it's going to compound until the point where like I get excited when other people have something good happen, because now it's like an opportunity for myself to celebrate as well. And
exactly.
I'm excited about that
thing. Wouldn't it be nicer if you were just happy about things?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Exactly.
Happiness. Okay, that brings me into a topic that I wanted to talk about today. Let me preface by saying that I think it's good to speak about sort of like mental health related things. I feel like this is something that I harp on a lot. I'm a big proponent of going to therapy and that type of thing. One question that's been rattling around in my brain a little bit lately, though, is whether or not there's a kind of like code of ethics when it comes to projecting your own anxieties out into the world. And the example I'm going to give is a roller coaster example, which is like let's say hypothetically you were to go and like you're going on a roller coaster for the first time and you plop in the Loch Ness Monster at Busch Gardens and you're in the front row and you look to the person next to you and they go, "Are you worried the harness might come undone?" And you're like, "Well, I wasn't." Like, are you worried we might get stuck upside down? Like, are you worried that we might come off the tracks?
I see.
And it's like, what's interesting is that I think as the mental health conversation has gotten much more prominent, I think my curiosity is whether or not any of that roller coaster example has bled its way like into our minds a little bit, where it's like, I never knew to be worried about this thing, but now I am.
This is a very weird conundrum you've got here, because on the one hand, you don't want to be like dismissive of someone's insecurities, but on the other hand, like what they're concerned about is just not going to happen.
Yeah, well, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I mean, and that is typically the very nature of anxiety in general. Right. It's completely unreasonable.
Yeah. This is the sort of thing where it's I want to like tread lightly, I suppose, but to me, this is like the sort of thing where it comes down to like your own personal level, like self-assurance. I think.
Yeah.
Like it's like I don't know when, but I feel like at some point around my high school years, like my brain just like flipped some switch that was like, you're just not going to be concerned about things that don't happen, not things that couldn't happen.
Sure.
Like you're like it happen that the roller coaster gets stuck upside down. It could happen, but that doesn't happen. So you're not going to be worried about it.
Right.
It was just like, yeah.
So you just basically made like the conscious decision at some point in time. It's like me, you, brain, consciousness. We're making a deal here. We are making the choice to not worry about that thing.
Right. It's like, yeah, not only not worry about it, to simply to like, no, it's not going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in that case, I think it would just be like, are you worried about that? I think my answer would just be like, no, I'm not worried about it at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
like just a flat, absolutely not.
I have heard you use this exact like kind of speech before.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty interesting. It also reminds me of something we talked about last week. So we talked about manifestations, because you talked about how you know that you're going to win raffles. And when we were like in the same, I bring it up because the way that you talked about it, like I know I'm not going to get stuck upside down on the roller coaster. Like I know it. And what's interesting about it is I remember when we were recording last week and we were talking about manifesting and stuff, like the way that you delivered that line, like, no, I know I'm going to win raffles. I was like, I remember like sitting here and being like, is Jay like frustrated with me or like mad at me? Like
it is so weird, because even people in the chat during like the premiere of that episode were like, man, Jay was like real cold in that moment. I was like, oh man, something the way I said that came off poorly.
No, I just thought it was, I mean, it was funny because as I was watching it back, I was like, it was in my own head. It was in my head, but we have video evidence. Let's watch it. I'm still not sure.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's totally fine. But you and I talked about it. And what was interesting to me is that I feel like I was talking about this idea of manifesting things in a way that was very like pie in the sky. Like it was very like my classic like thought experiment. Like, hey, like if you think about it hard enough, like can you make something happen? Mm-hmm. And though you and I were talking about this after the fact, and in the way that you described how you felt about always winning raffle tickets was like that you said that you're just like I thought it was just like a thing like manifest like as if it is just like 100%.
Right. Like it is just like a core known thing about people.
Right. Like, like if you were to manifest things, then like it will work out, which I think to me feels like that resides in a large amount of like a kind of like maybe faith or something that like maybe probably the skeptic side of my brain can't like latch onto.
You never could have walked across to get the Holy Grail. That's what it sounds like.
Oh yeah, no way.
Yeah, no way.
Not one bit.
Not one bit.
I was not destined to have the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
Not one bit.
You got to get in there. Then you got to choose which cup too. It's really.
No, see, my problem would have been the bridge.
No, that's what I mean. Yeah, you couldn't have got across the bridge.
Right. I mean, we're talking about like, what's your favorite color?
Yeah.
Blue. No.
Oh no, I'm talking about Indiana Jones.
Oh,
You know, where
okay.
there's the bridge is invisible. You just have to know it's there.
Oh, I got
Yeah.
you. I got you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No. No.
No, here, you know. Okay, here. This is a great way to practice this exact thing.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes, lay it on me.
Okay. This is going to sound like a really weird example, but I
Okay.
swear it's like it's a way to train yourself to just know. And it is the Nintendo Entertainment System classic video game Super Mario Brothers. Like
Okay.
the very original 8-bit
Yeah.
run forward.
Like
okay.
where he's like a little like red guy.
Yeah, you're just a little red guy.
Why is he on fire? It always looks like he's on fire.
You think
to
he's
me.
on fire?
It looks like he's on fire.
Here's the secret about that game.
What is it?
If you just run forward full speed, you can beat any level. Like there's so many things where the game wants you to like stop and think about it and try to like, oh, well, wait a minute, right? Should I go now? I go right now. It's like, and if you just run forward with absolute confidence and just know when to jump, you can get through every single level of the game.
Oh man,
It
see,
is just like, don't stop.
confidence. Confidence is I think it's so interesting the way you
Yeah.
just described it, because it reminds me of something that just happened to me very recently, where it was a very similar situation that was caught on videotape, where I was like, where confidence I feel like came into play.
Yeah.
And it was almost like one of those things where I was like mildly insecure about it, but I was like, maybe it's fine. And then it came, and then it like, I don't know, popped itself up. And that is, I got the full like almost like movie grade Spider-Man suit.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And I was so excited about it. I had ordered it like months ago because it takes like a long time to get here, and it has like all these like measurements and stuff. So it's like made specifically for you. And I really, really, really was excited to wear it to the premiere. I was excited at the prospect that I could be excited to wear it to the premiere. When it actually came down to it, I got very nervous and almost backed out like 7 times. And it was like I'm really like, I committed to this. I have it. It's here. This is the occasion. Like, it's never going to be more appropriate than it is today.
Yeah.
But so like, you know, I don't know. I think I was still extremely hesitant about the entire process. So, but I was vlogging, and I feel like this is one of those cases where the fact that I started doing the vlog has been very good for me, because
Yeah.
it's like, this is a good time to do it. Like, face your fears, and it's going to be worth it. So I got all suited up, got to the movie theater, and the big thing was I didn't want to like be putting the costume on inside of the movie theater itself. I wanted to be able to like walk in full garb.
Right. Yeah.
And so I did that, you know, like you put the whole thing on, the mask and like whatever. And your ability to see, for one thing, is so small. It's so small. Like, it has made it so that like now whenever I'm watching superhero movies, I'm like, you have way too good peripheral vision. You can't see that well
Oh
around
my gosh.
you.
You know what is the worst for this is the Mandalorian. Like, they have
Yes.
this tiny little visor. It's like, you can't see anything in that helmet.
Not one
man.
bit. Not one bit.
One thing.
Yes, I have at
Yeah.
the same time been watching Book of Boba Fett. But so I walk in to the theater. I'm already nervous anyway. I can barely see anything, because the other thing was it was really cold outside, and so my breath immediately. Not only do you have a small field of vision and like in the suit on best case scenario, but it was cold outside, which made it so that my breath inside the mask was fogging the lenses, which made it so that even what I could see had a layer of fog over it.
Oh no.
And so, yeah, like Kat, who works at SCB with us, she was like basically guiding me in as like my seeing eye dog almost.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, not to compare Kat to a seeing eye dog, but
More like a seeing eye cat, really.
nice.
Yes.
Yes, that's way better. The point is that like I really was operating on a degree of faith that I would be able to walk forward and someone would let me know if I was going to hit something.
Right.
But at the same time, I was also trying to walk. I realized that I'm now wearing an incredibly eye-catching like costume. And so in my head, I'm like, someone will let me know, Kat will let me know if I'm about to hit something. So just walk with confidence. But I couldn't, and I was nervous. And so there's this video of me walking in to the theater, and like my shoulders are like super like hunched in, like my body language is very clearly saying like that I'm not confident in this
like,
situation.
Hi guys, like I'm the human Spiderman.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was really funny though, because like as I'm like watching the tape back as we're trying to like incorporate it into the vlog and stuff, I can see it about myself, and I know what's going on inside of like the driver's seat of my own brain. And I was like, oh man, like you can like I can tell that I was nervous there. I can see the way that my body language is telling me that I was nervous, and it was one of these things where like I was all good. I watched the vlog premiere with everybody, and like nobody had made a comment on that. And then a few days later, I was just scrolling through the comments and responding to a few of them and stuff. And sure enough, there was someone who left a comment that was, the moment Ben walked in the movie theater, you can totally tell that his confidence was a little low because of the way his shoulders were bent in.
Oh,
and I'm like, oh shoot.
Delete this comment.
I didn't delete it. No,
Okay.
I left it.
All
But
right.
not that I'm upset with this person at all. Like I did not feel like they were attacking me or being negative or trolling or anything like that.
Yeah.
It just so happened to be the case that they said the exact thing that I was like, dang it.
Yeah, right.
But I was trying so hard to like walk with confidence.
It's such a weird thing because it's like in your brain, like everyone knows it's you, and they're like, "Wow, Ben Carlin's dressed up as Spider-Man." Right? Okay.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, but here's the thing: no one knows it's you because you have the mask on.
It's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
It's like there's something really like liberating about like wearing a full mask that fully covers your entire identity.
Yes.
Yeah.
I once upon a time I had a situation where this came to me all at once.
Yeah.
And it was right when Alice and I started dating. She had invited me to go to a costume party at one of her friends' houses, and like the friend has like a Facebook event group where you could see like everybody who had been invited. And I think that they do this every year, and I now know the people well enough to know that they invite like everybody regardless of like how far they may now live from like Roanoke. It's like we were friends in college. Like if you happen to be in town, like feel free to come on by. But as a result, it meant that the invite list had 300 people on it.
Whoa.
And so I had just started dating Alice. I didn't know the people yet, who are like super nice, warm people. But I was like, I feel like I really want to go in. I want to be cool. I want to like, whatever.
Want to make a good impression.
Yeah. But I had one of those inflatable like T-Rex.
Oh yeah.
Costumes.
One of those.
Yeah.
One of the T-Rex dinosaur costumes. That's
you've
the most
seen it.
memeable thing in the world.
It is. They are the funniest things ever, even when you're inside of it.
Yeah.
But I remember I walked in, and of course, once again, I'm wearing like a very comical, very eye-catching thing. And right away, right as soon as I walked in the door, someone came up to me and was like, breakdance competition, like because I was like in this giant,
right,
and so he starts like dancing and immediately, and I am like terrified to dance. Like I can't stress this enough. It's like, it is not my wheelhouse. When I go to weddings, I have like anxiety about doing like the cha-cha slide. And I just like, I danced. In like a way that like I don't even know, it must just live inside of me deep somewhere. But I felt
somewhere
like,
in your sleeping mind.
Yes, exactly. But it was like one of these things where I was like, it's because I have I can never say this word, anonymity. The fact that I know that I can't say that word makes me feel like I've told this exact story before,
and you're like reliving it.
I'm not reliving it, but yeah, the fact that you're like disguised, you're covered. So my hope is that as time goes on, I will gain enough confidence in my Spider-Man costume that I'll be able to go to costume parties and just be able to like straight live it up as Peter Parker and not have to worry at all about people being like, man, Ben is really acting weird tonight.
Yeah, part of me feels like I would love to just be like a school mascot or something, and I don't think I would have any trouble being as outlandish and enthusiastic and like as wild as you need to be. But I feel like at the same time, if it was just me down there without the costume, I'd be like, everyone, no, there's no way. I can't even stand here.
No way.
No way. Okay, actually, here's a fun. I'm sure you remember this. This is just a good old-fashioned GMA story.
Okay, great.
From way back in high school, where we didn't have much to do, so sometimes we would find ourselves just like wandering around Walmart.
Oh, I know this exact story.
It was so the So we were wandering around Walmart, and the prank, if you even want to call it that we thought was going to be hilarious, was to try and find a different shopper's cart and try and drop something like inappropriate or comical into their cart whilst they weren't looking, and then watch them deal with it at the checkout counter.
Yep. So the idea would be that they would get up there not having realized that it's been dropped in their cart. Yeah, and then there's like that moment of realization between like the cashier and them, and the cashier and them, and the item, and what and how. I didn't
put this in. Oh, wow.
And then how do you backpedal out of it?
Right.
And yeah, so I think as kids we thought this was like the funniest.
We thought this was going to be hilarious. But no one. Once we got in there, it was like this question of like, wait, who's going to go do it? Who's going to go do it? Who's going to do the thing? And like, who's going to try and drop something in the cart? And I think no one really wanted to do it. So we were in like the toy section of the area, and I put on just like this kid's Batman mask, which barely covered my face, was way too small. And I was like, all right, I'm ready. I'm going to go do it. Which on the one hand made us way more conspicuous.
100%.
Like it was not helping.
100%.
It would have been way better if I could have just been like totally cool and just like walk past these people's cart, dropped in the item, no problem. Didn't do that at all. It was super obvious. They almost immediately caught on. It was not good. Not a good situation. And of course, then they're just like, who's this kid? Like, what? But it was like the power of them not really being able to see my face, because I was wearing this like crappy, even though it was this very tiny Batman mask. It was like, I just felt like, what are you going to do? You can't do anything. You don't even know who I am.
Right.
Hey, I'm not even me. I'm Batman. Yeah.
No, Bat J.
So anyway, then we are leaving the store, and these guys, the guys we did it to, were like super angry at us because we were obviously just being terrible teenage boys or whatever. Yeah. And we're like standing sort of past the cash register. We're like watching them, and they like look over at us, and I'm still wearing the mask, and he just like locks eyes at me. He's like, "What's your problem, man?" And I just like didn't say anything. I was like, I have no answers. I'm just gonna stare. I'm just gonna keep the stare. And like the one guy kept getting angry, and his friend was just like, dude, we just leave him. Like, just come on. Like, let's go. Anyway, didn't say anything. He eventually just like got really mad and left the store. And I was like, Batman wins.
Yeah, it was like this was like one of those like fly on the wall moments that was hilarious. Yeah. Just like,
that's the thing. You and Mike and John are just standing behind me, just like cracking up.
Well, and that's the thing, because it's like, it's so, I think even then it was like very out of character,
right,
for you.
Yeah.
Who like I think it would be easy to say that you never got detention, silent lunch.
Yeah.
Chastised ever.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yet here you are, like pulling a prank on someone we don't know in a Walmart.
Yeah. In a Batman mask.
It was like, what is this?
Yeah. Anyway, but that's like the power of like just having even the lightest amount of like identity concealment.
Yeah. At least when used for good and not for bad.
Well, these guys got so angry, I'm not sure we weren't doing some good,
I mean, it's the type of thing that I remember that even just the nature of how big the Walmart was.
Yeah.
That like it always felt like it was the case to me that like we could go, and it was so big that we could just like run our shenanigans, which was nothing ever really like that bad, but like we may have gone to like the football aisle and like literally just passed a football back and forth in the aisle.
Real troublemakers.
I know. And I think at the time it was so common. We had a code word for it, which was lobster bisque. Do you remember that?
No.
It was like whenever an employee was coming over, we'd be like, lobster bisque. And then that meant to like put the ball away or something. Ball. But I remember being like, how is it that people, like, who is paying this much attention that people are constantly coming over and telling us to like stop doing this. But now as an adult, I'm like, it's very, very, very obvious that what you were doing is not shopping and instead playing inside of the store.
Right.
And so if I were to put myself into this gentleman's position and some teenagers were acting in this extremely odd way around me while I was just trying to like do my shopping.
Right.
I also feel like I'd be like, what are you guys doing?
Please stop bothering me.
What is it about me? Did I do something like,
right?
And of course it was nothing about that guy. It could not have been more random.
Yeah.
He just happened to be the person who crossed paths with us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
With Batman. Whoever you were, sorry about that.
Maybe it's your carp girl. Maybe it's your carp girl.
No, I don't care. I have no desire to find this person.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see. But surely someone out there
has the
the
story.
story.
Has the story
Right,
about,
yeah. They're like,
about this like random group of teenagers in a Batman mask.
okay, here's the other thing too about this is that like in my head, I knew that we were completely and totally harmless.
Right.
And we were just having fun. But it does occur to me that was not obvious. And you know, like at this point in time, you were probably already like 5'10".
Yeah, sure.
Like you were on your way to being over 6 feet tall. So
Yeah.
like while you may not have actually been at any point in time like, you know, dangerous or a threat or anything like that, this guy doesn't know why you're doing it.
This was always like the absolute. I think this was the thing that gave us the GMA like a certain level of self-assurance when we were in high school, is that the kind of shenanigans we got into were so ultimately harmless, and I think like we internally knew that.
Yes.
Like, we were never doing anything wrong. No, but to any adult anywhere, a group of 4 rambunctious looking teenage boys, you must assume trouble.
You must assume, yes,
like,
absolutely.
It doesn't like, you know, you're like, oh, how do they always know? Like I guarantee you those little like eye in the sky black orbs that have the cameras in them at the store. Like the moment the 4 of us walked in, they'd be like, these guys are no good. Like this is a high theft risk. Definitely.
Oh,
like
sure.
watch them for sure.
Yes.
Like follow them around. Like this, you know, that, but the thing was, we never did anything like that.
I know.
So and the end result, I feel like, was often kind of humorous because like we would walk into the situation just like, you've got nothing, man. You've got absolutely nothing.
It is you're exactly right, because I feel like the other thing that is really unusual about this period of time, maybe like on an average basis, especially compared to any period outside of the age of 16 to 18 in my entire life, was the number of times that we were interacting with cops for any reason at all.
Any reason at all.
And it felt like during this period of time, it was like so always.
It really did.
Like, okay, so the story that always comes to mind for me is there was like, we used to go and drive around in the car, and one of the things that the GMA would do is we would listen to the song Boulevard of Broken Dreams
by Green Day. Yeah.
And all 4 of us would basically just belt it as loud as we were capable of doing it.
Yes.
Like effectively on repeat and just out perusing.
Right.
Like we weren't going anywhere, but we were out.
We're just hanging out.
And so I remember one occasion in particular, it was cold outside. We had been belting it, and we were going through like a routine traffic stop on the Blue Ridge Parkway. And as we're like coming through, again, 4 teenagers. And at this point in time, we were and this is like one of those things where I always feel like it sounds like way nicer than it was, but it was your high school BMW,
yeah,
which was like a 1995
yeah
325
325i.
Yeah. So on the whole, it was probably like a sporty-ish car, but I can't stress it enough, it wasn't like the nicest
It was
car.
certainly not like, yeah, it sounds like, oh, you drove a BMW in high school. It's like, yeah, but it's not what you think at all.
like a Honda Civic would have cost more.
Yeah.
It just happened to be like that this is what we had.
Yeah.
So anyway, but so we pull up, we've been singing Boulevard of Broken Dreams. All of the windows are fogged up.
Yeah, because it's like very warm inside the car.
Yes.
Very cold outside the car. And we're going through like a sobriety checkpoint on the parkway.
Yes.
So what they're looking for is like, you know, drunk driving or substance abuse of any kind at all. And, you know, the 4 of us are in there. The windows are foggy. It 1,000% looks like we're just like cruising around smoking pot or something.
Hot boxing,
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
we're not.
But we're not. Yeah. And chances are it was like either a Friday or Saturday night. So again, like the suspicion level is way higher.
Yeah.
Than it probably would be if it was just like a Tuesday.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're coming down, like, you know, the cops both stop us. They pretty much like are at every window, you know, because there are multiple people who are like working this sobriety check, and you know they're asking us like so many different questions.
So many questions.
Well, what's that? Like, what's that? Can you show me that? Can you show me this? And I mean, so like, I think one of the things was that you had these like rubber floor mats, and the floor mats themselves were like dry rotted.
They were like deteriorating. Yeah, like the rubber was just coming off.
Right, but I think it looked like someone spilled an ashtray
right
all over the floor.
Right, they're like, "What's all that?" We're like, "It's the rubber from the door." But we're just kind of like being, I don't know, very snarky, I feel like, because we the four of us all completely understand the situation.
Yes.
Which is that we look suspicious but have done nothing wrong, and everything they're asking us is just like fueling a very dumb fire.
Yeah, yes. So the other thing too is I think we had like our warm up suits for track. I think were like literally, and my suspicion is that this was you being like a high school boy and had just like from the last track meet stuffed it under the bottom of your seat. And so I think that was another one where someone was like, well, it's stuffed under the seat there. And we're like, it's our track warm ups. And they're like, well, can we see? It's like, sure.
I guess.
Like, why do you want to see our track warm up?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the other thing too, is we probably didn't, we were so innocent to the point where we didn't even know necessarily everything that would look suspicious, because we wouldn't have ever done the thing to begin with.
Right.
And so, yeah, this would just happen, rinse and repeat to our little group of friends. It felt like
we were camping on the ridge above our house one night, and I remember someone had brought fireworks, and they like shot
no correction. They had brought a firework.
A
Single.
A single like Roman candle, which if you don't know, just shoots like 10 bursts of light into the sky. And we're just up there just camping, doing nothing, and someone like lights their one Roman candle, shoots it up in the air, and literally, I guess because we were up on a ridge, and it wasn't a holiday or something, someone down below saw it and literally thought it was like a signal flare.
Like a flare.
For like trouble. And like an hour later, like coming up a super steep hill to get to the top of the ridge are just this like pair of cops. Like, what are you boys doing up here? We're like,
and again,
camping?
Right, yeah. So, like, from our perspective, again, we walked to this campsite from our house, which we can visibly see over the edge of the ridge.
Yeah.
So, like, as far as we're concerned, we're in, like, an advanced layer of our backyard.
Right.
Like, it would not be uncommon for us to go up there. Like, my cross-country runs, I had, like, literally just run there before anyway. But... again, what these cops have been walking up on is probably a group of like 6 teenage boys around a campfire with probably even what looks like a copious amount of alcohol, except it's not. It's actually just soda.
we were like, it's a good thing we weren't breaking the rules, because we got caught not breaking the rules
all the time. All the time.
Oh man, yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So in all these cases, I mean, we ultimately just walked away from it.
Yeah. Just like I can't believe this happened again.
Right. But at the time, it did feel like, what are we putting off?
Exactly. We're the good ones. What are you talking about? That's what it felt like. Certainly.
Yeah. In hindsight,
in hindsight, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
That we just looked rambunctious and like highly suspicious, even though we were never doing anything wrong.
Oh
well.
Okay. Transition. Okay. Here's a question that I feel like could play off of a little bit the conversation that we just had, but I have seen this particular post pop up a bunch of times, and I'm just kind of curious as to whether or not you think it's true.
Okay.
Or if it is, because I feel like if we were to go back to the GMA days, I feel like this was something where it was definitely, we were all playing off of each other. But the question is, are you actually the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with? Have you ever heard this phrase before?
I guess I have heard this before. Sure.
Okay. Yeah. And so the idea is that like if you're spending time around people who may be like a negative influence, then maybe you might be more inclined to make decisions that fall under that negative influence. Or if you're around a bunch of people who have a political leaning or a general opinion towards something, like you're gonna start to have this like insulative, small, echo chambery type of thing that like exists around you, and it starts to shape the way that you view the world, because it's kind of like the lens that you literally wear around you.
Right.
And so my question is like, is this a thing? Like, or if you were to even to like assess the 5 people that you spend the most time with, because that's a question to me where I'm like, I mean, this is probably pandemic, influence as well. But I mean, it's basically for me, Alice, and then the people we work with.
Right.
Like those are pretty much the people that I see.
Yeah. I mean, on a pretty average basis, I see like mostly just 9 other people, and it's the people we work with and my, immediate family, Beth, Luke, Nick, and Nate.
Right. Yes.
And those are mostly the people I see.
Oh, I could probably have my trainer.
Oh yeah,
Gabriel's
in there.
I see him at least 3 days a week.
Sure.
So there's that too. The reason I asked though, there is like this one phase of my life that I am like super reminiscent about, where I am like, I can't decide whether or not I had like met like a soul friend, like maybe not the idea of like a soul mate, but like this was like someone who was like, it was like we jived so well together, but it was also like very brief. And so I don't know if like maybe this friendship existed for such a short period of time that like I don't know, even this seems like a very weird way to describe it, but like it was almost like still in the honeymoon phase. Like there were still like fun things that we could do because like we were just like building this like new friendship.
Okay.
So it was my friend Seth. Do you remember
Seth?
Do you remember Seth?
Yes, from Petland.
From Petland.
I remember Seth from Petland.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Seth was this person that I met once upon a time who it's like the immediate impact that I felt like he had on the way that I was like my sense of humor, like my like openness about things. I don't know, like just general like behaviorisms. I don't even know how to describe it, but like I jumped way more often. like it'd be the type of thing like where if you were like walking on the sidewalk with Seth, he would like do a kickflip off of the sidewalk, except with no skateboard.
You'd be like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, and he would just be, and he would like include like maybe like a little kind of like martial arts inspired like wah, at the end of it or something.
Yeah.
And it was just this very like positive, uplifting person to be around, and I was always like, man, I can feel the impact. I can see the impact that this person is having on my life.
Yeah.
And then literally, and this is like the strangest thing about Seth is that like he just kind of disappeared, like he just stopped being there, and it was like this really odd thing. I actually remember it specifically because it was right around the time that we bought the aquarium business, and we were both working in the fish department at Petland together, and we both put in our 2 weeks notice on the same day.
Wow.
Because he was going to come and work at the new aquarium store.
Okay.
And I remember it was like the first day that he was supposed to start, and he just never showed up, never saw him again.
You never like spoken to him again?
Nope.
Wow.
I know. And it was
out
like,
there with Carp Girl somewhere.
Do you think?
Man, that'd be the craziest. I mean, there is a fish relation.
There is a fish relation. That's a good point. That is a good point. And he did like fishing as an activity.
Yeah.
Which also,
I suspect Carp Girl does not like fishing as an activity.
It's a good point. She had a bad experience.
I feel like she doesn't like boats. I feel like she doesn't like bodies of water.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. I could be wrong. Who's to say?
Right. So, but even when I knew Seth, he was like really, 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 really like outstandingly absent from social media.
Yeah.
Like I think that like he had a MySpace that had like one picture from like the day he had set it up like 5 years prior, and he had never posted anything else ever. Which was odd at the time because this was like as like the first social medias were like
this was the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Yeah. And so I don't know. Have you ever had something like this?
I think so. The immediate situation that came to mind to me was back at my old place of employment, the concert venue, as it were. We went to these. They would have these annual marketing conferences.
Yes.
Where you would meet up with all with like the 90 other buildings that all fell under the umbrella of Global Spectrum,
which is like the company that governs all these places.
Yeah, that was like the overarching venue management company.
Sure.
They've since changed the name to just Spectrum, no more Global.
Oh,
whatever.
okay.
I don't know. Whatever. Not important to the story in case you're looking up Global Spectrum.
It's like the Facebook. Drop the.
Yeah, drop the. Just drop the Global, man.
Just
Spectrum. Yeah. I'm pretty sure they did that because they were based out of Philly, and Philly built like a sports bar next to, like, in the sports complex, because all of their like stadiums are in the same spot, but they built like a sports bar like right next to the Eagle Stadium and the Sixer Stadium and whatever the baseball team is, I don't know, Phillies? Yeah, Phillies. And they called that the Spectrum. And I feel like it was named, I feel like they were trying to like streamline everything in that one name. I don't know.
I got you.
Anyway, you'd get there, there'd be 100 other people with your exact job from 100 other cities.
Okay.
And I remember the first time I got there, like no one, like I'd never been to a marketing conference at all before. And not only that, the person who had been the director at my building had left the company. So I was there without even the other person from my building.
Oh, wow.
Like I'm just here. I have no idea what to expect at all. I had no immersion in the company culture. I'd only been there for like a month,
Sure.
I was just like, okay, here we go. Don't know what to expect at all. But I immediately found two other guys who were basically in the exact same boat from other places, and it was a guy named Namir and a guy named Brad, and the three of us were just like total best buds for the entire week.
Right.
Like every time we went
summer
anywhere,
camp effect.
Yeah, it was like summer camp effect. It was just like me and Namir and Brad. Let's go. We'll go. The problem was all three of us were first year people.
Okay.
So like. It wasn't like this like ensconced you further like higher up in the company anyway. It's like all your time is being spent with people who don't matter.
Oh.
Well, not that don't matter, but who don't matter to a greater sense of the company.
No, we heard what you said.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it was like a very weird thing. And then I think by the next year they had like sort of both left the company altogether, just got like new jobs. So I came in year 2 and I was like, well, sort of back to knowing nobody, except now I'm not even like a new person. I'm expected to know people now.
Oh man, this is. I think this happens when you go to college, where it's like college, great place to meet people. Except it's like great place to meet people for like the first month.
Yeah,
and then everyone has found their friends.
Yeah, this was the thing because I transferred to tech during my sophomore year.
Yes,
and it was just like, and I didn't, I think in my mind I was like, oh yeah, I'll just transfer over there and I'll just live in the dorms and I'll just meet people there, whatever. Right. And the thing was, that's not really how it works. Like you could probably do that at Radford because the student population is not so big.
Sure,
but at tech they are like, you get 1 year in the dorms, then get off campus because we have so many freshmen coming in, right, and that's where they're going to live. So it's like you're definitely not going to put transfer students in the dorms or anything.
Right.
So now I'm like, transferring over, not going to be living on campus. Don't even have anyone to live with off campus. All right, this is going to be all right. So now you're just like isolated, far away from the people. Like it's hard to meet people sometimes.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. This is, and I feel like this is like a skill that some people have though.
Yeah.
Like where they're able to like very quickly identify like opportunities to like go and meet people or become like involved with activities and stuff. And I think this was like, I don't know why I had this like mental block in college, but I totally did. Yeah. Which was that like, it was almost as if like going and playing like an intramural sport or something, for example, would have been like a great way to be like, oh, now like I can go and meet people on this, the people on my team or whatever. And I couldn't do it. It was like I was so worried I was going to go and play like intramural soccer and just like everybody there was just going to be like all the really, 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 really good high school players who like decided not to play collegiate. And it was just, I was like, well, there's no way I'm going to play with those guys.
Right.
Like they're going to be so good.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I can't do that. And so I just didn't do it.
My experience with intramural soccer was that there was never just like a random person there. It was always that like a group of friends decided to form a team.
Yeah.
So they all already just knew each other anyway. It wasn't like you got assigned to some random team. Maybe that's how it works.
So maybe this is like the message to all little colonels out there who are currently in college. Go join something.
Absolutely. I mean, and that ultimately was my solution. Like I went to all the meetings for like all the different things you might do as a comm major, like VTTV and VT radio and the collegiate times and stuff. And I ended up just doing VTTV for like the entire time I was there. But the unfortunate thing was that all of the equipment there was like donated from old TV stations, and it was like already 20-year-old like cameras or something.
Kind of obsolete.
And yeah, like they were semi-obsolete, I'm sure, when they were donated, and now they are about 5 years past barely working. So like people were like kind of holding the whole operation together with string for the first semester I was there, and then like the people who knew how to tie the knots and where to tie the string, they were gone, and it was like, well, this is a pretty shambles operation we got running here, y'all.
It's over.
It's basically over, but we're gonna keep plugging forward in the best way we can. And I think ultimately we ended up just like, instead of like trying to broadcast live, we would just film the episodes and then like upload them elsewhere, like onto like a website or YouTube or something.
But
not that anyone watched it, but we did it.
Yeah. And I feel like that was a good forerunner to what ultimately would become the John Carlin YouTube channel, which would ultimately become the Super Carlin Brothers YouTube channel.
These things happen.
Which would ultimately become the Pop. So if anything, VTTV has a notable alumni in the form of Jonathan Carlin.
That's right. Boom. Yes. It was interesting because like that was like the one little like extracurricular activity that I was regularly a part of, and I did indeed like source a lot of friends from this exact thing.
Sure.
And like then it was like a matter of like because you ended up having a lot of classes with those people as you got further and further into your major, and then it'd be like, oh, I know you from the thing. And then it was just easy to be like friends that way. So it was a really effective tool. And that was like the smallest thing you could even be doing, it felt like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We also did scuba. I did that. That was a thing I just went and did like completely by myself. That was sort of a weird thing.
That's true.
Yeah.
Maybe you do have more bravery in you than I feel like is immediately like recognizable as like a character trait, because I do feel like, like all throughout having known you, and maybe it's like a little bit of like the eldest thing where it's like, at no point in time did you ever have the person before you who did something and then set that expectation, which also brings me back to the average of the 5 people around you, by the way. Like, how often is it the case that you did something because an older sibling did it first?
Right.
But the older sibling did it without that influence.
Right.
Which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Like, so I wonder if oldest that oldest children tend to have maybe like a little bit more openness towards going and trying a thing with no basis for what's behind the curtain.
Yeah, I wonder. The scuba was really interesting because, again, it was one of those where like most people do it with a friend. Like a lot of people don't just show up by themselves. So it was like, I'm here and I don't know anybody yet. And through most of it, I mean, it's scuba, so there's not a lot of talking to be done anyway, because you're just underwater and you can't talk to the other people as much, but there is some communication and stuff. But when you go to do your final test, there was like, we went out to this big quarry, and it was super cool. And then it was like much more of a bonding trip, because like the whole class of like 10 people has to go together, and you have to like arrange carpools, and you're in the car together for a long time. You go out to dinner, and you're probably rooming with someone. And I remember it being this weird trip where like at dinner, we're eating at some Mexican restaurant, and all of a sudden it just felt like some switch flipped, and like the whole group was like a group, and I was like suddenly like part of it. Like it wasn't like a bunch of like individual friend groups. It was all like, now we are 10.
Right.
And it was like, I don't know. I remember it was like feeling this like weird, like, I don't know, almost magical like feeling like this
camaraderie.
Like camaraderie. Like it was like very accepting. All of a sudden it was just like everyone's just, I don't know. It was very weird. I think about that like exact dinner sometimes.
This goes back to why I feel like when you're, especially like first starting to date somebody, or if you're like in the dating scene or something, to like really try to have like an early experience with the person to be some type of like, both of you are going outside of your comfort zone experience, because it is one of those things where it's like when you go and you do this unknown, and then like all of a sudden, despite the fact that this person is relatively new to you, they are more of a known than the unknown you just tackled. And so by comparison, they seem very familiar.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's almost like what's happening, where it's like, we're about to like go underwater and like actual open water, and like we're all out here and maybe like a little bit nervous about it, but like at the very least, I kind of know who these people are.
Yeah.
And so I think that can like start being some like adhesive glue to stick you all together.
Could be.
The magic.
Yeah.
The pixie dust.
The pixie. Sprinkle it on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. That's very interesting. And it's now making me think about the things that tend to appeal to me as like activities. Like if I am venturing off on my own, it is now occurring to me that a lot of the projects that I attempt to do that feel like maybe outside of the box or maybe a little bit ambitious, they are things that I've always been able to do on my own, where it's not going to have the pressure of somebody else having input. You know, it's like I can go and experiment without anybody knowing that I'm doing it.
There's like definitely like a certain like power there, and I feel like I've wondered before, like whether or not like what it would have been like if I went to school somewhere like really far away.
Yeah.
You know, like because even like Tech wasn't very far away from Roanoke, and even there, like, you know, I was in the communications program, so all the professors like just, you know, knew our dad by nature of being in the field that he professionally worked in 1 hour down the road.
Sure.
Like it has always felt like that presence has never really left. It's like in what ways are you ever able to break free from those expectations when you're like still so close to where so many people know you and you have like an established perception of yourself?
It almost goes back to what we were talking about earlier, like with wearing like the mask costume. It's like if we were to have gone to school in like, I don't know, Oregon or something, just a
way out there,
far away. Because I have had a similar thought before where it's almost been like I've always imagined if I had like moved away from Roanoke, it's gonna be super random, that I would attend way more murder mystery parties.
Oh, you think?
Which is to say, any murder mystery parties. Like it's the type of thing where now I feel like it would make me very uncomfortable to have somebody see me attempt to be someone other than who they already know me to be.
Right.
Almost in the same way that I feel like I have difficulty like dancing in front of people, because it's like they're like it almost feels like something that would seem so, in my mind, it would seem so out of character that when someone sees me dancing, they're going to think like this is like an odd behavior for Ben to be exhibiting right now.
But you think like if you just went into New York City and walked into some like rave nightclub, you could just like completely let go?
Break it down.
No one knows you.
You'd like totally be like on like the lit up dancing floor doing like the dance off with the person across from you, and like a microphone drops out of the ceiling and it's like, in this corner.
I don't know about that, but
well, yeah, I mean,
maybe you could.
You got to dream. You got to dream.
Maybe this is your dreams. Would you think like, man, one day it's just gonna strike me. I'm gonna walk onto the dance floor and it's gonna be awesome.
One day I'm gonna dance.
I'm gonna dance, and people are gonna be like, "Whoa!" I'm gonna be that guy at the wedding. I'm just gonna go out there. I'm just gonna tear it up, and I'm just gonna be like, "Whoa, this guy can dance."
Yes, it feels like this area of my life that it's like I can be proud of myself for being like reasonably competent at certain things.
Yeah,
but it's like there's this like black hole that I feel like is basically like arts and music, where it's like it's like I have no skills inside of this arena whatsoever.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I don't even have good handwriting. You know, it's like that's how bad I am at art. I have bad handwriting. But like on top of that, like I don't know how to like play like a musical instrument. I don't know the words to very many songs. I can't sing. I can't dance. And it's like, it's not, I'm not trying to be like self-deprecating or anything like that. It's just like, it's this area that like I have just never tapped into at all.
Right.
And it feels like the longer that goes on, it's kind of like not knowing somene's name. It's like, I'm getting to a point where it's like, I'm too afraid to ask. Like
this is the weird thing though, right? I have often felt that you're like, why is it so hard to just like to dance or whatever?
Right.
And like I have had friends who like you're in your example, like you're afraid like if I go out there and do this, it's going to be such a character breakdown. People aren't even going to know if they know me.
Right.
Right. And it's like, I have had friends who I've seen at weddings where I'm like, where they are exactly good. They'll just go out there and they'll just start breaking it down. And I'm like, I didn't even know this about you.
Right.
Like it's
Yes.
completely shocking to me. And in no way am I like upset with it or like, does it change my opinion about them? If any, it like only ever elevates my opinion. And it's like, even so, it doesn't make me feel like it's any more okay for me to do it.
Yes. Yes.
It's so weird.
It is incredibly odd. It's
Yeah.
incredibly odd. And it's like, I thought about this the other day because you and I were talking about what is the quote about bravery? Like bravery is not the absence of fear.
It's courage in spite of your fears.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes. And I feel like I have a very similar relationship with like vulnerability, where it's like, I think that forever I have been someone who will be like very open about things that are personal about me very quickly.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think that this can come across exactly as I said, as like this is someone who is willing to be vulnerable. And it's like, I don't even know if that's the case because like to me it doesn't even feel like vulnerability. To me what would feel like vulnerability, like that level of like discomfort of like showing like something about yourself would be going and dancing on a dance floor by myself. Like that would be me being like as vulnerable as I'm capable of being. Like that
Yeah.
would be like attempting to show something about myself that I don't know how will be received.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Do you follow the comparison there? So I don't know. Maybe just kind of like figure out like a way to cut through.
Yeah. Okay. So let me ask you this. Last Friday here in the office, I brought in one of my Christmas gifts, which was the Oculus Quest 2, which
Yes.
Beth got me for Christmas. And the game that I have been playing a ton is a game called Beat Sabers. It's like high and away the most popular VR game.
Sure.
If you're unfamiliar with it, it's kind of like DDR or Guitar Hero. It's like it's a rhythm game. You know, the notes are coming at you. But what you do but they're in the form of blocks, and you're holding lightsabers, and all you have to do is smash the blocks with the lightsabers as they come at you.
It's a little bit cathartic.
Yeah, it is super cool. You're like, I'm holding lightsabers. This is the best. But so I brought it in because other people had said they wanted to try it, and I've been having so much fun with it. And like all throughout the day, everyone at the office was just sort of like picking it up, taking turns, smashing some cubes, playing some Beat Sabers. And like the way you need to do it, because it's VR, is like you need kind of an open area. And the obvious spot in our office for that is like right in the middle of sort
everything.
of like the bullpen. That's probably the wrong word. But like the main workspace area.
Right. Yeah. So like in our workspace, we have like a big, our whole office is just like a big long space.
Yeah.
And the middle chunk of it is like where we have like the row of desks that everybody who works at SCB is sort of like side by side. Yeah. So in order to play the game, you pretty much had to be playing it right behind all of those people.
Right. Like sort of like in the middle of the floor. And the very nature of the game, because it's like a rhythm game, where you're swinging swords around, is that there's music playing, and you're moving your arms pretty all over the place.
Yep.
Like and you can't see anyone else, but everyone can't see you.
It's like the opposite of it's both a mask, but also the opposite of a mask.
Right.
It's like you're stepping into. It's like it'd be like, I don't even know how to describe it. Well, exactly as it is. You know? Yeah. It's like you're very exposed, but you can't see how exposed you are.
Exactly. So question is, because you played it, so question is, how did you feel?
Very nervous.
Very nervous?
Very nervous.
Okay.
Like it was the type of thing where you're like, you want to give it a go? And I was like, I think in my head, my knee-jerk answer was, no, I do not.
Oh,
like
okay.
It was like, I don't want to do it.
Oh.
Like, and it, but
sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, okay. It's totally fine. Yeah. But it was, I think that the reason that was my answer is because there is this like kind of worry about going and doing something and like possibly looking silly in a way that like I don't have control over, so it's like I don't know in what way this might end up looking like awkward or like a little bit jerky or whatever the case may be. And I have played Beat Sabers one time ever before, and it was I think at VidCon the first year that we went. And I had the same exact experience this time as I did then. And it's very visible to me what was happening, because you put the help, like the mask on, and you're all you see around you is like the space, and like the two handles that you're holding show up in your field of vision as these like lightsabers. And the thing that was very, very, very evident to me is that my hands were shaking.
Oh.
Because the lightsabers were
shaking.
shaking. And so it's like I could like visibly see my own nerves like before my eyes. And I even think it was the type of thing where it was like I would play it, and it was like I will play it on easy mode, because like it's like as I was playing, I was like, this is like way too easy. Like this is like
Right.
I'm not having any trouble whatsoever beating
Right.
like,
Easy mode.
exactly. Yeah.
Right.
But
the blocks are coming slow. Slice.
But it was also like I didn't want to up the ante either. Like it wasn't like I beat easy mode and was like, oh, I gotta try normal, like, or intermediate or expert. It was like, like it was like, okay, I beat easy mode. I can take it off now. I'll set it down. Like I'll walk away. And I think the curiosity here would ultimately be if I could ever find myself in a situation where I could put it on, or almost even like be here at the office on my own and play through it over and over and over again. Like in a way where it was like, okay, like I can sort of like get the feel for it. I can kind of get like, I can feel like my shoulders not be hunched in like they were in the Spiderman costume.
Right.
But I feel like if you were to have taken a video of me playing VR,
I'm sure we did.
okay, well then I think what we should compare it to then is the footage of me in the Spider-Man costume to see whether or not this like very visible lack of confidence is showing through in my body language.
Okay. I personally did not know you were feeling that way in the moment.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's just, I mean, it goes back to, I can even remember it with Dance Dance Revolution and Guitar Hero, which were also games that I never wanted to play because it always felt to me like this very, very public way. Like I'm okay with like not being good at video games when it's just like, holding a controller and doing whatever. But it always felt like if you were to like fail at a song on Dance Dance Revolution or something, it always felt like a very public kind of physically related failure or something. And I think that like I couldn't exactly go into like my own psychology and tell you like what it is that is different, but it's something in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly how to explain it. Like, but I think that that's just that. So I never wanted to play. Like if I were to go to an arcade and they would have like the big fancy like DDR setups and stuff.
Yeah.
You would never in a million years catch me playing it.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, well, this was something I kind of like learned about DDR specifically over time, is that like, if you're just going to play on like, easy or normal or whatever, like there's probably no chance that the average person can't just like, even just fumble through a song successfully.
Sure.
And then, like, I remember I went to one of my buddy's house, though, and he was, like, legit into DDR.
Yep.
Had, like, was off-platform altogether, was downloading songs, custom things. And, like, watch this person play. It wasn't, like, oh, yeah, I just see the arrows coming and going. It's, like, memorizing foot patterns based on, like, like, oh, this is a specific kind of foot movement you need to recognize for when you see this pattern of arrows coming.
Yes. Yeah. It's
and
almost like knowing the algorithm to like a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah. It was like watching a whole different world. And so at that point, it like really clicked to me like, okay, like there is like regular casual play for this game, and then there's like really expert play.
Right. Like
this
you
game.
have like left. You have like left the standard arena behind entirely.
Yeah.
You're in the underground
You're
now.
in the underground. Yeah. It was, man, interesting stuff. I will say, one of the weird things about Beat Sabers is like, we talk about Name of the Wind all the time and like The Sleeping Mind or something. Like I've played it at like a lot at this, well, a lot for 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah, right.
And there are certainly times where it will be like, I'm not even looking at the arrows. It's like my arms are looking at the cubes more than my eyes are looking at them. Like I can see them coming, but it's like I couldn't even tell you what I was doing.
So you have like left behind, and I think that this is like when somebody becomes incredibly like fluid, or like if you've ever heard somebody like referred to as like a natural at like a sport or an activity or something. It's like I think what's happening is that they basically skipped the learning step altogether, and they just immediately were able to like fluidly move into the motions. But yeah, it sounds to me like now you've almost like established the patterns well enough that you're no longer needing to like say like, you know, like left, right, up, down, left, right, you know, like whatever.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
At this point in time, you're literally like reacting to cues, and your brain is working fast enough like that you don't need.
Right. It's like it's exactly right. Your brain is reacting to the cues and sending the signals to your arms before your eyes can even like take in the arrows.
Nonverbal magic.
Exactly. It's crazy.
It is.
So anyway, I would really recommend VR of any capacity to anyone listening because it is awesome, and I think it is only going to become a greater and greater part of everyday life.
Would you call it your Wick of the Peak?
Yeah, I would say Beat Sabers is my Wick of the Peak. Try VR in some capacity.
Okay.
Absolutely. Then have another one. Oh, I also wrote down as my Wick of the Peak was Tic Tac KO. I think a game I talked about once upon a time when I bought it because it was an Instagram purchase.
Yes. Have you played it?
I finally played it this past weekend as part of our like my New Year's resolution to like spend more time with friends. We had friends over on Sunday evening.
Okay.
And we played Tic Tac KO, Unicorns vs. Dragons.
Ayo.
Yeah, and I will say this about the game. One, super fun, would also recommend. And here's my story for how I know or how I can tell it's super fun. Well, obviously I just enjoyed playing it.
Sure.
But so I watched a video about how to play it before my friends got there because I didn't have any idea yet either. And I found this is easily the fastest. Like reading the rules is boring. Watching a video, very easy.
Sure.
But they got there with like 3 minutes left in the video, and I was like, I got it. Just stopped the video.
Okay.
Like, hey, what's up, guys? How are you? Then we just started hanging out. But we go through the first game, and we like play through the whole thing. You know, it's like 2v2. Me and my buddy win, and then we like look in the rules and we're like, oh, actually, I think we were doing something wrong. You're supposed to clear everything off every time like you get a pattern right or something. And we all sort of like, that makes more sense. Okay, all right, we'll play again. Next time we'll do it the correct way.
Okay.
And then sure enough, we got like 2 games later and we're like packing it up. And so we're like, you know, we hadn't even gotten to all the cards yet in the game.
Okay.
And someone's reading it and it's like, now wait, this says each player's hand, but we were just sort of like passing hands back and forth. And like, are we all supposed to have a hand of cards? And, you know, we go and look at the rules again. And it's like, we were playing wrong. Yeah, for sure.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
And this was like not even, I didn't finish the video. This was the video said it wrong.
No way.
And I was just like, I'm embarrassed. But it was like, and then, you know, we're all sitting, it was like, that does make more sense. Yeah, that makes more sense. Okay, I get it. Yeah. But in the meantime, the 2 incorrect ways we played it were still super fun.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it was like-
so even not playing the game the way it's ultimately intended,
Yeah.
somehow also works.
So yeah, Tic Tac KO, Unicorns vs. Dragons.
Nice.
Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Do you
I
want
would
to know one of my
recommend it.
resolutions?
Yeah, let's hear it.
It's like one of the most classic.
Yes.
I can. If you're visually watching, you can see it.
Is that your new one? Is that your one true cup for the year?
Well, maybe it'll be my
Yeah.
one true cup here for the office. So, in case you can't physically see what I'm holding, it is. I've seen them like on Amazon and stuff like that before, but it is a 1-gallon water bottle, and marked on the water bottle are various times of the day, and it's basically like sort of like at 7 a.m., which is like the beginning, you're all the way full, and then it's like by 9 a.m. you should have drank to this line, and by 11 a.m. you should have drank to this line, and the idea is that it should space drinking 1 gallon of water nicely throughout the day. So
Right.
the only thing about the way that I'm doing it is that it's here at the office.
Yeah.
So it's like it just sits on my desk, but the goal is to basically drink
As much of it as possible.
as much of it as possible.
Nice.
And because I feel like I have this issue, not even not drinking a lot of water, but I don't usually have a very good way to like quantify it.
Yeah.
And I feel like what I want is like more data, more knowledge.
Yeah.
I feel like this would be the type of thing that I could see being, it seems like a Black Mirror episode almost, but like if in the same way that you can like Google search something, it's like, how much water did you drink today? And it was just like, hang on, let me check. And you'd like pull up like, I don't know.
Yeah, like it would just put up a chart.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it like that information is just literally stored.
Right.
Or in the same way that like, yeah, you have like steps on your like watch, and it's like how many steps do you have today? It's like, oh, okay, I have like 4,000. It's like, oh, okay, that's cool. It would be very fascinating to me if somehow there was just data that was constantly being like stored you know?
Yeah.
Or I feel like a lot of
These are the kind of things I imagine you'll be able to review in the afterlife.
I know, yeah.
I'm
it's
always
true.
like, I'll be able to bring up all sorts of weird data points about my life.
Yeah, it's like did I gotta know. Did I drink enough water? Yeah. It's like not even close.
But I think about stuff like that, and I'm like, what a tawdry version of the afterlife I'm imagining. Like, I think it's comforting for me to think that I don't have an imagination capable of thinking about the grandness of such a thing, is what I like to think.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is to say, who even believes in death when there's quantum immortality theory? Right?
which we independently came to on our own last week.
We were like, when we were talking about like, what if you just break off into another universe where you didn't die? And someone's like, are you guys talking about quantum immortality theory? He's like, is that what it's called?
So, looked it up. Sure enough. Once again, we have independently stumbled onto the same thing.
Yep.
That actually exists out there.
Well,
in the world.
I guess we didn't investigate it much further, so maybe we were only like on a version of it. I don't know.
Right. Well, that's fair. That's fair. But still interesting either way.
It was interesting.
It's very exciting stuff. It always makes me feel like I don't know, maybe if I had existed during like ancient times or something, that I could have been like buddies with like Socrates or something.
Yeah.
Aristotle.
Right.
Those people.
Right. Just be out there like having thoughts.
And just be like I imagine them sitting like in these like courtyards, like eating salads.
Yeah.
Just being like, let me give it a ponder.
I imagine it's like, I think it was very like Roman to like lay down when you ate. Like, rather than sit in chairs.
It feels like the type of thing I've seen depicted in oil paintings, and I'm like, why would they do that?
Yeah, I think that is. I think it was like, this is like, when they would be eating their like olives and kind of like their, Roman charcuterie, I imagine.
Is any of this real?
Yes.
Like this actually happened?
Yeah, this is what people would lay down to eat.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I took Latin for 3 years, dude.
Fair enough.
All right.
And let me guess, you also win raffles.
Yeah. I do. Correct.
When Jay is sure of something, he is sure of it. Anyway,
this is what they taught me anyway.
And I bet the earth is round.
Let me give you a quick aside about Latin class. This was such an annoying thing. So are you familiar with the movie Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yes.
I know you are because we watched it like 1,000 times. It was one of our van movies.
It was.
Fantastic movie starring George Clooney. Anyway, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is, you wouldn't know it based on like the setting or the time period, but it's based on the Odyssey, like the Greek epic poem or whatever, right? And so for Latin class one time, I think the teacher was really phoning it in, but they're like, we're going to watch Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? We're going to compare it to the Odyssey, and then we'll just have like a test about what all the obvious references were.
Sure.
Like here, like what happened in the Odyssey and how was that depicted in this movie.
Sure.
And I was like, okay. And like we were going through it, and like one of the examples I think early on was that they came upon like an island of cannibals or something. Okay. And I was like, oh, is the opening scene where his cousin turns him into the police, like kind of that, because he's like turning in his own family or something. Right. And it was clearly the teacher had not considered this at all. And like she was like, I think you could like watch her doing the math in her head, like, that sounds pretty reasonable to me. Yeah, okay.
Oh, interesting.
like so it wasn't one of her examples.
Oh,
yeah. But then anytime anyone would ask about it, she'd be like, she wouldn't answer. She'd be like, Jonathan, tell him. And I'd be like, you can take ownership of it at this point. I was just trying to answer your question in class, okay? It was like very much like, I didn't think of it. I will not take responsibility for teaching you this, but it made sense. So, Carlin, you give him the answer. It was like I felt put on the spot every single time. I was like, I'm losing confidence in my answer. Like I feel I need more validation from you that was a correct interpretation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I had this exact same thing happen one time in my marketing class where it's like one of the hardest courses that you take, and it's like the one where like on like, ratemyprofessor.com, everybody's like, good luck. And I remember being in class one day and he had asked a series of questions and I had like gotten it right. And I was like, this is awesome. And we were talking about like the series of questions that we were running down was like how different companies where there are many of them might differentiate. So like, how does a gym differentiate from another gym? How does a Mexican restaurant differentiate from another, restaurant or whatever? And so we have a very small chain here in Roanoke called Alejandro's, which is like a well-known, like, Mexican place. And so like the question at first was like, who can name like the Mexican restaurant in Radford that has done this the best? And I was like, probably Alejandro's. And so I said that, and he's like, exactly. And why is that? And it was like one of these things where he thought that I was on to his train of thinking a lot better than I actually was. And if anything, it was just like, I just like Alejandro's.
Yeah.
And so like, I remember him being like, he was like so jazzed, and like the whole class like looked at me and stuff. And it must have just been the case that like other people didn't go to Alejandro's or something. I don't know. And he was like, exactly. And why? And I was like, they have authentic Mexican cuisine. I was like, I don't know. And he's like, and the thing about Alejandro's that actually differentiates them is they have like a salsa bar.
Salsa bar.
And he was really like, and it was like one of these things where I could like see him like deflate because he was so happy that someone had like gotten his line of thinking. Yeah. And then it was like, I like let him down. And he was like,
what a bummer.
He was like, the salsa bar, right? And it was just like, I feel like the whole thing got thrown off. I've been embarrassed about it ever since.
Man, can I tell you my embarrassing Mexican restaurant college story?
Yeah, you most certainly can.
Okay, so the other Mexican restaurant chain around here is called El Rodeo.
Yeah.
Familiar with it? They're like everywhere. They're overpriced and not that good.
Ooh.
Yeah, fighting words. Don't at me.
Spicy takes.
Spicy takes. Spicier than their burritos, I dare say.
Whoa!
No, I haven't been El Rodeo in a long time. But I remember, because Alejandro's also exists in Roanoke and it's so much better than El Rodeo, like I would just never go there.
Sure.
And I remember thinking like, but when we were growing up, we'd go there sometimes because, it's like, oh, the Mexican restaurant, fun. So anyway, fast forward, I'm at Tech, and one of the really common bars people would go to, or that people like loved, and I would hear all my peers talk about all the time, was El Rod's. And I'm like, where is this place? Like, I don't even know where it is.
Right.
Like, I've been downtown. Where is this? Where is El Rod's? And finally, one night, it was like we were going to a basketball game or something. We were like, oh, let's get El Rod's beforehand. I was like, all right, fine. And like, I was like, I don't even know where it is. They're like, oh, it's right next to the Wendy's on Main Street. And I pull up, and it turns out that the truth of the matter is that the common shorthand for El Rodeo is El Rod's. And I pull up, and I'm like, I was so excited. I'm like, I'm finally going to this place that everyone loves so much. And I pull up, and I'm like, are you... El Rod's is El Road. Oh my gosh! No,
the famed. You're kidding.
Yeah, I was like, it's like you guys misperception on the quality of this Mexican food is blowing my mind right now. And
I think I had the exact same glass shattering moment.
Yeah,
with the exact same location, because Radford is like 20 minutes away from Tech. So anyway, that is hilarious.
Yeah, I was so disappointed. I was like, I can't wait. This place, I hear such good things about the margaritas, and nope, it was just El Rodeo again.
I am now craving Mexican food, like I don't know. We might have to have a second lunch today.
Okay.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of The Pop. If you have any feedback for us, you can send it over to popcornculturepod@gmail.com. Or if you would like to support us on Patreon, we have lots of really, really cool perks at varying levels, including After the Final Pop, which after each episode is just basically Jay and I sitting down for another 20 minutes or so of additional pop conversation. So if you are someone who is new to the pop, or you have caught up and you're like, man, I wish I had more, then you can watch like literally
huge backlog, like 100 episodes at this point.
Exactly. That is available over at patreon.com/popcornculture. But otherwise, until next time,
pop.